Good afternoon. I'm going to call the Building Advisory Board for Tuesday's July the 12th, 2022 to order. I request the chair or the staff confirm that the Kansas Open Meeting Act has been acknowledged.
It has.
Okay. Start with roll call from my right.
David Holmgren.
David Miller.
William McBride.
Mike McCall.
Kevin Cool.
Rick Walters.
Scott Kraus.
All right. Moving on to a meeting, approval of meeting notes or meeting minutes from last meeting on 6/17.
Thanks.
Do we have a motion or any discussion?
I would make a motion that the minutes from the Friday, June 17th Building Advisory Board be accepted.
I'll second.
All right, we got a move and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
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 Same proposed. Motion passes. New business. Let's see, we have a public forum. Looks like we have nothing for new business at this time. Administrative items, 3.1 code review subcommittees.
All right. I probably maybe could have put that under new business. We were waffling back and forth, but anyway, there it is. As we discussed last week or last month, we're going to be starting code review subcommittee meetings. I'm hoping to start August 2nd and then have them every 3 weeks after that, but not on if the meeting date falls on a second Tuesday, which is when we have this, it wouldn't be then, but it would. I'm trying to do it every 3 weeks, so that way I have time to compile the staff reports before and after overview for discussion points. We talked last week. I want to start with the 2018 IBC. We have all the code books there for you. Got them all gathered up here, but we want to probably start with the 2018 IBC. So one of the objectives today is to get a subcommittee review team. And I asked you guys last week to kind of think about who you wanted on that. I can't nominate you or anything, so you guys have to kind of decide amongst yourselves. Normally it's about 5 members, and we need someone to chair that as well. So with that, I'll kind of leave that up to you guys to talk about maybe what you thought about over the last month.
All right.
I'll just give some input, but it only makes sense to have an architect chair that because they deal with it all the time. Not that the contractors don't, but they get into all realms of it. So.
No one's looking at you, but
Yeah, I know, exactly. Well, I will, yeah, I'll chair this piece because this is kind of my piece of the puzzle, so I don't have a problem with that. So we just need 3 or 4 other members that want to be on the 2018 review board.
Put me on there.
Okay,
so that
Kevin,
Sir.
Kevin Cool. Okay. Does anybody else volunteer?
I don't know if Greg Nichols would be on. I talked to him a little bit ago, but we didn't talk about this meeting, so.
Okay, it is, and just because you volunteer for this one doesn't mean you can't be on another one, say electrical or plumbing or whatever that's going to come up too. So if you want to, be on this one, more than one, that's perfectly fine, and they're not going to be at the same time. So we're going to do them one at a time, so.
Right. So we've got probably a year, maybe or so of reviews by the time we get through everything, so. And Dave is off. This is your last.
I'm done.
This is your last meeting, so.
Yep. And so the way, I think I kind of discussed this a little bit last week, just to give everybody a little hindsight. The way these subcommittee meetings generally work is depending on how many updates and changes there were from the previous code cycle, I'll take 1, 2, up to maybe even 4 chapters and note the significant changes or anything that may have come up. Since that, I've got some books from ICC that have changes from 2012 to 18. It includes the 2015 version, so it jumps 2 cycles and it lets you know what changes were from 12 to 18. And so I'll kind of make a summary of all that stuff and also include the any local amendments we may have in that chapter to see if they still apply, or also take suggestions for other ones, and those can be discussed and hammered out. So anyway, I think it's a good one to be on. It pretty much encompasses almost everything we do. So that's why I kind of wanted to start with that one and
Right, yeah.
move on
It's
from that.
Kind of the basis of everything else is built off of the building code, so.
Right. And I was going to get into this a little bit later, but we're also vacant. I think four members of the board. I've been putting out some calls. I do have some interest into some new members. The city commission votes on that on their first meeting in August, nominating all the expression of interest forms that get submitted to different boards. And so there may be a few new faces up here very shortly, but.
Sean,
Yes.
who are you still needing that hasn't filled out an,
I'll
which positions?
the ones that are vacant are mechanical structural engineer, because Mr. Miller is that's gonna be a vacant one. I need an electrical contractor and a mechanical master or journeyman.
So you have 3 at this time.
Yes.
And have you had anyone show interest in that yet? Filled out the form?
I have one electrical.
Okay. So we're still looking for an engineer that would be interested and
Mechanical.
the mechanical. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So we've got 1, 2, and you said 3 for this committee?
Who's it, you did too?
Yes.
Mr. Holmgren did? Okay.
So we got 3 right now. We'll see. I'll check with Greg and see if he's interested.
Okay.
That would give us 4, so.
I will. I will if you need someone to.
Say that again?
I would be willing to be on it too.
Okay.
So. That gives us 4, plus if I can get Greg, that'll be 5, so.
Okay. Well, that's a great starting point anyway.
And
So
you'll send out the meeting notes for that, or time for that?
yeah, it'll be, the first one will be August 2nd, but I'll send out a note. I didn't check to see if this room's available every Tuesday we want to do this, so they might be upstairs in our conference room, or it might be in the 105 right next door too. So, but
And any of the public is encouraged to show up for those meetings if you have any input you want to have onto the 2018 International Building Code, so.
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
as
we
much-
always get a lot when we get into the other subdivisions, but this is kind of the main one that bases everything, so.
Yep, if there's public or contractors, design professionals, anybody that has a skin in the game here, this is a great time to speak your voice or hold your peace, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Well,
All right. We're done with that. I guess if you got any other business, you
I was going to talk about the board vacancies and stuff on unfinished business. Like I said, we're going to be short mechanical structural engineer, electrical contractor, and a master mechanical or journeyman, mechanical master or journeyman. So if I do have some interest in the electrical one. Like I say, I don't think that anyone has submitted yet. So if you guys, know of anybody, any of your cohorts in your field, by all means, spread the word, because we'd like to have a full board especially for doing this. I mean, this is really important for the city, and it's also good continuing ed hours. Just as a note for the public, generally at a building advisory board meeting, if we're not talking about code in specific, it's worth half credit. Unless you're on the board, then it's full credit. But if we're talking about actual code issues, like pretty much all the meetings for the next year and a half will be, it'll be full credit, continuing education credit, code hours. So encourage as much participation as we can get for all these gatherings. For the members that are on the board, Kevin Kuhl, Mark Frazier, and David Holmgren, your terms expire, it's actually at the end of August 31st. So I guess you could come to one more meeting if you wanted. But you need to fill out expression of interest forms, because you have to reapply like you weren't on it before. So go to the city website and fill out the call an expression of interest form, so that way the city commission knows that you're there, and they can vote for you or nominate you at the city commission meeting. If you need help finding that, shoot me an email. I can send you a link to where that is located on our website. It's not too hard to find, but I can help you if you need some help. But yeah, those names I read need to be sure to get that form filled out so that we can re-up you and keep moving along. Just so everybody else is aware, William McBride, yours expires in August of '24. Mike, yours, McCall, yours is August of '23. Gregory Nichols is August of '25, and Rick Walters is August of '24. So the rest of you got a little time to spare, but those three I mentioned need to be sure to get those EOI forms in.
and there's a two-term limit, right?
Yes. You can serve 2 terms back to back, and then you have to take a year off, and then you can come back again. So.
So we'll see Dave in a year.
We might be just finishing up.
Yeah, you can get the start and then you get the finish. And not have to do the in between.
Okay, that's about all I have for other business. Know if there's anybody I guess you could talk about public comment and stuff.
All right, thanks, Sean. Public forum, do we have anybody in the public that has anything to make comments? We do have one.
Since my internet connection is better live. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman McCall, members of the board. I am Brian Rogers, Vice President of Field Services for the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials, commonly referred to as IAPMO. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. As the board begins its discussion on the adoption of updated plumbing and mechanical codes, IAPMO welcomes the opportunity to collaborate and provide technical resources. IAPMO has had the pleasure of serving the plumbing and mechanical industry professionals in Salina, the surrounding communities, and throughout the state of Kansas for many years. Through our Kansas Salina IAPMO chapter, we have provided many educational programs for industry professionals to expand their knowledge on the uniform plumbing and uniform mechanical codes. Additionally, IAPMO provides state-approved trade examination services for plumbing and mechanical professionals wishing to earn their journeyperson or master plumbing or mechanical credentials. Another extremely valuable service provided by IATMO is our technical resources available to trade boards in updating their uniform codes. Just last year, we provided technical assistance to the Sedgwick County, Kansas Board of Appeals of Plumbers and Gas Fitters that resulted in the most efficient and seamless code update process in their recent history of updates. We stand ready to provide your board this same high level of professional technical support to update your uniform plumbing and uniform mechanical codes to the 2018 editions. IATMO supports the City of Salina in their efforts to update the Uniform Plumbing Code and the Uniform Mechanical Code, given the advancements to help improve water efficiency and conservation, improve mechanical systems, support industry, and continue on a path of innovation and effectiveness. Thank you again for the opportunity to provide comment to this board. We look forward to the opportunity to collaborate and support the board in their mission to update the UPC and UMC that will best serve the needs of Salina residents. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if anybody had any.
So I've got a question. So last meeting, Sean expressed going page by page code review between the, with the mechanical and the plumbing code. Do you guys provide a sheet that shows all the differences so the staff would have something to go off of?
So what we did for, I'll just go by what we did for Sedgwick County. We provided several documents that identified what the changes were from the 2015 to the 2018, and then the 2018 to the 2021, because they adopted the 2021 codes. So that would be provided to the subcommittee, that particular document, or those documents on both those codes. Then what we do is we would look at the existing ordinance package and the amendment package and identify what new language affects that particular language in the amendment package, and highlight that and provide that information to the subcommittee so they can make a decision on whether or not that new language needs to be amended or how it affects the existing amendment language.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks for that information. Any other comments from the public today? Seeing none, we will close the forum out. Now that we have Greg that showed up. Thanks, Greg.
I've been on Zoom the whole time.
We have selected at this point our committee for the IBC, and we need one more member for that. We're going to meet every 3 weeks. On Tuesdays is what we're planning. So if you're available, be the second would be our first meeting.
That should work.
And is he one of the ones that needs to reinstate? I don't remember off the top of my head.
No.
Okay.
Let's see.
I didn't write those down when you said that.
Your term expires in 2025, so he's good.
Okay.
Good for a little bit.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Rick.
Sean, after hearing Brian, representative of IAPO, and the uniform codes, it sounds like that process will help expedite the process of the code adoption of 2018, also alleviating time for those subcommittees and these board member volunteers. What I'm wondering is if IAPMO has a package already, they've already gone down this road, they have all, and they compare everything, that do you feel you would still need to be personally at each subcommittee meeting, or would you be comfortable with the committee members working closely with IAPMO? And I believe they have materials that they've supplied to you that would help you in that process as well? Significant changes, code changes? Would you be comfortable letting that committee run concurrently on the mechanical and the plumbing side? And then any information you might see that maybe wasn't covered, or any information that is brought to light that you were unaware of, you would be obviously kept in the loop and notified of any of those. And that way, that would reduce your time involvement as well and expedite the entire process.
Right. I can see your point. However, having a staff liaison is pretty important to be at those meetings, myself or maybe Sean in my stead if can't make one or something. But since we're the ones who have to govern and enforce and do all this stuff, I definitely want someone from our staff at these meetings so that we're clear on everything that's been going on. Definitely probably need our input as well from time to time on stuff like that. So I really don't want to have one off by itself and going that route.
So you would, if I understand you correctly, you're not saying that you personally would be at each meeting. You might actually assign staff to be at that meeting?
I will make every effort to be at every single meeting, but on a rare occasion, sickness or whatever else, it might be somebody else that would be there, but someone from our staff would be at every one. But yeah, the times that I wouldn't be there would be pretty rare.
Would it be sufficient if we went through this process, you were given all the information of all the significant changes, and go through as Brian explained, would go through the city code, highlight any changes that need to be made into it, present you with that documentation, and then you have resources in your office that show any significant changes from the 12 to the 15 and the 15 to the 18, which I believe has been provided to you from IATMO. Then if there was anything that you were unaware of, you would get bullet points each meeting, what we discussed, where we're at in the process, and if at some time you felt you needed or wanted to interject something new, you would certainly be there. You would know what the meeting was, and you can certainly just even email or do it through Zoom. And the fact that different changes are going to be made, I assume that you're going to take advantage of those books that were given to you on the significant changes if you're not already familiar with them.
Yeah,
That all your
I haven't
staff-
gotten them. I haven't gotten them yet, but
Okay, but
Yeah.
you're aware that those are coming, so I would assume you're going to assign that to your staff, the pertinent inspectors in both the mechanical and the plumbing fields, that they need to be aware of those significant changes. And I would think that they would probably need to do some of that on their own time. I'm just wondering why we can't expedite this process at this point. I don't see, I guess for me as a board member, one who's contributing his volunteer hours and time away from his business, as
Okay.
with the other board members and subcommittee members, and also, I'm all for expediting the process. It sounds like we have a package here that's already been taken care of. We
Well,
don't
it's the
need to
same way,
reinvent
Rick,
the
we've
wheel.
got with the 2018, we've got all the changes that they've done from back to when to now.
I'm sorry?
On the 2018 IBC, it's the same thing. We've got the package, it's kind of the same. They've put a package together for the uniform. IBC's put a package together for the 2018.
So are you suggesting,
I think we just leave
that
it
he
like,
doesn't-
I think Sean's got to end up writing the final anyway, because that's what he has to do to present to the city council. So,
and IBC is going to go ahead and look at the city codes for you and make those amendments?
they're-
do they?
that's what we've
So
got
they're
it.
not doing the full package for you? And I was still speaking.
yeah.
And I am just kind of waiting for that answer, if that seems reasonable to you.
no, not really. No, because the staff time that it does take, even though IATMO, I'm sure, does a fine job at their.
Is staff being paid for this?
What's that?
Is staff being paid for their time by the taxpayers of this community?
Yes.
And anyway, you were saying?
I was saying that the staff time that goes into this is fairly extensive. going through each chapter, page, and verse of every code that we do, and having time to go through that and prepare reports for each meeting, and also reports after each meeting, so that I can come back to the Building Advisory Board, give a summary, each month to do that. It takes a significant amount of time. And to do more than one code of time, more than one code at a time is not feasible. Because I think I mentioned last week, I have quite a number of other things to do besides this.
I'm sure you do, and
yeah.
I'm trying to help
So, yeah.
save taxpayers' money and your time and put less stress on
Yeah.
staff and this board.
Well, if
I
I-
guess I don't quite follow if you have a complete package presented to you, and the subcommittee goes through all of that, and you are kept up with.
I haven't seen said complete package. I haven't seen it, so I don't know what that entails even. So I don't feel comfortable making that decision at this time without seeing any of it.
So you're waiting to make that decision based upon what information you'll be given
Well,
by IAPMO then?
Yeah, I mean, at this time, I would say no, unless there's something, I haven't seen what they've prepared for the Wichita subcommittee meetings, but
I guess-
knowing the work I have to put into it, and knowing the time that I have,
It seems like all your work's going to be pretty much alleviated if we go this process. I don't see you're going to have to address the board on any significant changes, but that's all going to be in a format for you. So I'm not sure what presenting that shouldn't, I wouldn't think, take very much time. And you're going to have, I assume, the mechanicals and the plumbers, the ones that work with these codes on that subcommittee. I don't think a lot of the
Yeah.
people that are out, that's not their expertise, or probably not to mitigate their knowledge on the subject, but I don't think they're probably going to have a tremendous amount of input in that discussion as far as the technical codes and changes that are in those codes on a hands-on basis. So there isn't any particular in our process, we don't, and I'll end here. We don't have anything, to use colloquialism, written in stone, that we have to proceed with the IBC and each one. Is there anything in our city?
no, it's not written that
No.
way. It's done.
So it's certainly that you
because-
just feel that this might be better for your own time,
That's correct.
but I see that it would be a significant savings of time for all the board members, and in particular, those on the particular subcommittees, to do it in a more expeditious manner, and we could start that process immediately.
Well, I've got a comment if I can. I sat on these committees, and I'm telling you, you just got to sit in there and pound them out line by line, and we'd change, a paragraph. And then staff would rewrite it, and then we'd come back. But expedition is not the thing. Thoroughness is what it has to be to make it right. So I don't see expediting anything.
Right.
Can I address your
Well,
comment?
hang on one second. A little bit to what Mr. Miller was saying. If, let's say you're going through the codes and you see something that you want to change, okay? You
mean a local amendment?
Yeah.
That we would
right.
have to, and I think David was referring to that.
Right.
And that's already being taken care of
Is it?
with this process.
I don't think it is. You might get Wichita's local amendments, but you're not getting Salina's.
No,
local
any
amendments.
changes, significant changes that would need to be
Significant
changed.
changes, what he means by that is changes from the 2012 to the 2018 codes that's written there. He's not talking about amendments, he's talking about changes that happened in the code itself.
You're talking about city amendments to the model codes, correct?
Right. And if that takes place,
And normally those would
and
be
staff
things that are
isn't
less,
there,
less restrictive than the actual codes.
it could be.
That's
It
what
might
it
be
nor-
more. There
that's
are
what it
some that are
normally
more,
is.
but yeah.
Right. But I don't see why that would be an issue. I just don't understand why you think that would be a large issue. I know David seems to think that that would be, but I can't imagine why that's going to be a significant issue. I thought that on the last code cycle, a tremendous amount of time was given to cleaning up our local exemptions. Am I incorrect?
Yes, it was, yeah.
A tremendous amount of board time.
Yeah.
And volunteer
Right,
time.
and this time,
So I don't think there's probably going to be that much that's even going to be changed, unless we just wasted our time in the last cycle.
No, I don't think
Okay.
so, but this is also a whole new code, and you don't know, you haven't read it, I haven't read it all the way, I've read some of it, but not all of it, and so I don't know what amendments are going to apply here and which ones aren't.
And the few that do arise from our model codes, you think that that needs to go through this laborious process
Absolutely.
instead of just seeing those and then addressing them at the time?
If I'm not there, I wouldn't know.
You most certainly will know of any changes. I don't understand why you're saying you
Well,
wouldn't know.
anyway,
I don't understand that at all. You're going to have that information, aren't you? And if you don't have that information, why do you need to be at the meeting?
I'm not going to know what the board decides.
So you're going to know any changes that are going to be done according to the new ones.
Right, and I
Because
want to
you
be
can't
there
address
for,
the
I want to be able to
subcommittee if you
hear
don't.
discussion, and I want to be able to see.
Well, it sounds like
what
we're
the
going to do
board-
this the government way, inefficient as hell, correct?
No one ever called
Okay.
this process efficient.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be so inefficient, but not all of us are getting paid. We contribute our time and volunteer our time. So perhaps.
And I don't think this will take any longer. I mean, time-wise, but if you run two committees at the same time, you're still putting in the hours.
We can have this taken care of in very short order. We can vote on it and have it done. We can put it to bed and go on with the rest. Yes, it saves time, a lot.
but we have to go through the entire code to review it, because that's the way it works with the new code cycle.
That you go through what?
You have to go through the entire book. I mean, one is for Sean's advantage. He has to go through and read the whole, and know the whole code for his reviews for the city. So this is one way
We
he
do need to know of any
learns the,
changes.
well, that's what we'll be doing.
And everything is provided for and everything is
No, it's
highlighted.
not.
Yes, it is, all changes.
All the code amendments that we just finished on the last cycle.
Oh, you said the book. Are you talking about the uniform plumbing and mechanical code?
Well, I'm talking overall for everything. We have
I'm not
changes,
talking about everything. I'm talking about the.
but we're gonna do the uniform and the mechanical just like we are doing the UBC. It's the same type of code. It's a UBC, not an IBC. Who cares? It's still the code. We still got to go line by line. And if we want to really,
You don't have a representative here that's willing to do all that for you, do you?
I-
You need a better,
I don't know. I've got a board here, so I don't know. Is there somebody
do you
on?
not ever hire or bring in expert advice?
Well, we have one that's
Correct.
volunteered to bring in some information. The IBC's they're not here today, are they, Rick? But they're going to we're going to get the information.
No, they're not here, but the uniform plumbing code.
He
I
is
have
today, and he said he's willing to help us, so that's
He's
great.
willing to take care of all.
No.
Oh, he's willing, he's got a package already. This could be so.
All right, Rick, that's enough.
Well, we know that some people would prefer the.
We're gonna
IBC
just-
From their past voting.
well, and there's
We do
that
know that some people
discussion.
have a vested interest here.
There is going to be
the
that discussion when it comes, but it's
Yes,
not
So I
today.
understand why you're being so hesitant on expediting this process, because
Well, what's wrong with looking at both?
affect your wallet, doesn't it?
What
Your
what? Yeah, okay.
So if
all
you're
right.
going to talk about codes that are going to directly, that you have a direct conflict in adopting.
I don't
perhaps
have
you
a
should
conflict.
Recuse yourself from this committee.
I don't even know what you're talking about, Rick.
Well,
Just-
you absolutely do. You argued vehemently, and I believe you voted against it last time we had this adoption, didn't you? Didn't you want the I code specifically, and were very adamant about it?
I wanted the ICAO, but
Okay.
yes.
Has your position
I don't-
changed?
I don't think that has any bearing on what we're talking
has
about
nothing-
today.
Well, I hear the chairman seeming to want to argue quite a bit with.
We're not arguing
frivolous-
about anything.
Frivolous arguments to expediting this process. And I think it's because you have a vested interest.
I think that
Whatever.
Chairman
What-
will be
all right.
recognized.
as for right now, I'm not going to schedule any subcommittee meetings that I'm not going to be at. That's just not going to happen. As the building official for the city, I'm responsible for enforcing all of these codes, all of them, uniform, international. Hang on, Rick. And I'm not going to have subcommittee meetings happen where potential amendments could be made, potential agreements, disagreements, things like that, where I'm not part of the actual discussion and implementation of this code.
Fair enough.
Just not going to happen.
Sean, let me ask one other question then. Then I should assume that the uniform codes are the only codes, we're not going to look at the international plumbing and mechanical codes in this cycle. Because each time we do it, each time it takes tremendous amount of time, each time we vote with the code we've always had, the uniform code. So are we going to waste all that time looking at the international plumbing and mechanical code again in this current cycle?
That's for the board to decide, not me.
So when are we taking that vote?
It is not on the agenda today, and we're not even talking about reviewing the plumbing or mechanical codes.
Well, perhaps I could bring
Right
it up
now.
as a point of order sometime in the future prior to reviewing those.
Yeah, we
And
can do
could
that.
go ahead and vote, and then we would definitely expedite the process because we won't be looking at another set of codes.
We can definitely do that.
And we don't have to wait until the end of this process to make that motion. Is that correct?
Right. I mean, we would do it, obviously, before we started looking at our mechanical and plumbing code. Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll look into that then. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Can I be recognized?
Go ahead, Greg.
Which item are we on?
We are ready for adjournment.
So we're on public forum?
We're on public forum right now.
Okay, did we address the public forum?
We did. Did you have another question?
I just would like to give everybody a point of clarification.
Okay, yeah, please come up.
Thank you. Just for a point of clarification, when we talk about a full package by IATMO, we have not gone through the amendments for the city of Salina on the plumbing and mechanical and made any changes. That would be part of our process, attending the meetings, working with the subcommittee, having the amendment language present along with any national model code with the uniform or the uniform mechanical code that would affect that. It would be up to the subcommittee to determine whether or not any changes are necessary. That is not something IATMO is going to do and have done prior to any meetings.
Yeah, and Brian, I appreciate that clarification. I didn't mean to insinuate that you'd already gotten through the Salina Code, but that you will be there looking at the Salina Code and any changes that need to happen, or that this new update changes, then you would be there to address that and say, hey, there is a conflict with this particular.
Yes, we would
Yes, yes.
identify if there is a difference in the model code language, the uniform
Correct.
plumbing or.
That's what I meant. I didn't mean that you'd
I
went
just
through
wanted to
every
make-
jurisdiction in the country and have done this, but that you do this with what you're offering is to do, in fact, that service to
Yes.
the committee. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, if not, look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. We are adjourned.